Only one outcome, hat trick for him, and Arsenal win it 4-1.
Arsenal win it 4-1 indeed with quite the dominant performance, and North London is red indeed. And Eberechi Eze, like I said, haunting the fact that Tottenham wanted his signature and could not get it in the end. So here's a look at the Premier League standings now, the top half, because Arsenal are 6 points clear at the top of the table ahead of Chelsea. Spurs, they are in ninth though, level on points with a certain Manchester United, who will be playing tomorrow against Everton. All right, well, at this moment, let's bring on in another member of our team. Is Julian Laurens, who actually was at this game. We know he's got some close ties to Arsenal, and because of that, Jules, thoughts on the game? Does this mean the league's over then? Because I don't know who on this planet can stop Arsenal at the rate they're going.
Ajay, let them know.
Yeah, it's a good question, Alexis, for sure. And today was another test, simply because it was the derby. Not that I think many of us thought that this current Tottenham team could cause too much problem to Arsenal, but you just never know. It's the rivalries, the derby, etc., etc. But today was not the day where Arsenal would be rattled, really, or put under pressure, or have a few doubts. It might be next Sunday away at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea, who were 3 points behind just before this game kicked off today. So had Arsenal lost against Spurs, it would have been just 3 points between Chelsea and Arsenal, and they would have faced next week in southwest London. But it's 6 points, and I think if Arsenal don't lose against Chelsea, they would have played all the most direct opponents, really, when you think about it. And if they're still that clear, it's true that it's theirs to lose more than anything else, which we've said really pretty much since the start of the season.
It's just interesting because, as Jules pointed out, this was a derby. This was the North London derby. And I mean, Ale, I think we were talking about it just off camera, that urgency from Spurs just never came. Did you notice that, or is it just that Arsenal were that good?
I'm going to focus on Arsenal for right now. And I'm sure we'll speak about Spurs at some point. But their performance is not worthy of actually talking about Spurs. What I would say about Arsenal is that they're checking every box that you can potentially put in your mind about what a championship-winning team looks like. Today, that was supposed to be about the emotion of the derby, that throw the records away. You never know what's going to happen. 5 minutes in, you knew what was going to happen in this match. It wasn't competitive. Arsenal-Spurs wasn't competitive. Arsenal were all over Spurs, and from the very beginning, when Eze just kind of clips the ball over the top to Declan Rice, and Vicario has to come over with a save, you're kind of going, uh-oh, uh-oh.
Long night.
Uh-oh, it's only a matter of time until this gets out of hand. Arsenal pressing the ball higher up the field, forcing turnovers. Spurs never getting close enough to Arsenal to actually impact their game or to force them to play the ball backwards or sideways. The manner in which Arsenal approached this game, it just seemed inevitable that at some point they were going to score, and 1 was going to become 2 and 2 was going to become 3. And while it seemed inevitable to me watching it from afar, it also felt like it was inevitable for Spurs. They almost sensed as if like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we got a chance because we can't complete 3 passes, and we are not finding any sort of outlet, or we're not finding any way to release some pressure, and that's credit to Arsenal. Overall, the thing that I think makes it the more impressive for Arsenal is that this was not a competitive game. It was not. There was 5 or 10 minutes following the Richarlison goal that you may think, Arsenal were a little uncomfortable. And that was it. There was nothing, again, competitive in what's supposed to be a derby match. It wasn't. It was all Arsenal all the time.
Stevie, when you see Spurs playing like they did and faltering big time in a derby, when you see the problems that we know Liverpool are having, when you see Manchester City, of course, still winning, having an Erling Haaland doing well, but again, faltering to Newcastle, what team can really take down Arsenal at this point?
Arsenal. Arsenal's the only side that can trip themselves up. You know, yes, they beat a lacklustre Spurs side, but the way they played the game, the composure, particularly in a North London derby, the way they went about it from the start to the finish, this is impressive. And the one thing they've done this weekend, if anybody had any doubts that Sunderland wasn't just a hiccup, then this weekend Arsenal have completely and utterly separated themselves from everybody else in the Premier League. Everybody else. We can talk about any team you like and we will find holes in it.
Ajay.
You can't find holes in this Arsenal side. You can't. We could sit here all day and not one of us would come up with a genuine reason why Arsenal will fail. That's how good this team is and how much they've separated themselves from every other side in the Premier League.
Jules, just hearing Stevie talk about that, the fact that we all could sit here and pick apart this Arsenal squad and not really find any holes or almost any flaws in it. What are their ambitions now? Are we talking a treble? Are we talking a quadruple maybe?
Oh, God damn.
No, I don't think they're even thinking about that. Yeah, I think they'd be happy with the league to start with, just to that. They've been waiting for long enough, 22 years if they do win it at the end of this season since the last one. I think that's all they think about. But we talked a lot about Gabriel being missing for this game and out for at least 4 weeks probably. And who would replace him? Would it be Calafiori or Mosquera or Hincapié and where? And okay, this is an easy game for Hincapié because Stevie could have played next to Saliba in that defense, and Stevie would have played in his sofa like Hincapié did. So the Bayern game would be a much bigger test for Hincapié, like the Chelsea game away next weekend. But even when they don't have Gyökeres, or they don't have Odegaard, or they don't have Gabriel, even on the back of an international break where everybody went away and just came back, they're still producing something like that. I mean, I know Spurs were embarrassingly bad, and Thomas Frank especially, because this tactics just was completely useless and completely clueless from him. But that's one for later. But Paul Vale, by the way, had a higher expected goals against Arsenal than Spurs had. Leeds had a higher expected goals than Spurs had today. This is how bad it was. But for Arsenal, to just have players coming in like Hincapié who hardly played today and feel really at ease in the structure, Eze in that role. I mean, Declan Rice today was again outstanding. It's just, even when they have injuries, which was the thing that let them down in the last 3 seasons, now because of the depth in the squad that they've had, which we highlighted earlier in the season on the show, it's a very different team and a very different dynamic from them.
Well, the only thing that's fancier today than Jules' background was just the performance from Eberechi Eze. Jules, that hat-trick, you just felt like it was eventually going to come. It was written in the stars considering his story and his ties to Arsenal, but he's just bringing that X factor that some felt Arsenal still needed, especially in attack.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was in the right place at the right time. His quality on the ball is exceptional. It was helped massively, and so was the team by, again, how bad Spurs were. How can you leave Eze with so much space on the edge of your own box when you play with a back 5 and 2 defensive midfielders? That's 7 players, plus your goalkeeper. And yet Eze has all that space. Merino has all that space to pick a pass, to pick a shot, to just do what you want, really, on the pitch. But Eze was outstanding. And you're right, Alexis. It was always written that he would be shining. For all the debate, all the narrative before this game of he almost signed for Spurs, but for him, the Arsenal fan to have gone to Arsenal, the dream move, and now in his first North London derby with the rivalry, with the whole family in the stands, and yeah, he's the big star and scored those 3 goals in that central position. I don't know what's happening when Odegaard comes back, and he's not far from coming back. Do you move Eze back out wide on the left again? But Trossard has been great, so there's a lot of question mark that then Arteta would have to respond. But when you've got Eze in that kind of form, even at the last third end of the pitch, it's just a luxury, really.
This is when we need Jan Fjordtoft.
Why is that?
Why?
Who is that?
How do you move a guy who's just got a hat-trick?
You don't.
You don't.
Well, you don't.
I don't.
Full stop.
I'm watching the game, and the camera's panning towards the sidelines, and I'm looking at Odegaard, and I'm thinking, he's sitting there going,
Uh-oh.
oh.
Uh-oh.
You know what the telltale sign was? That Eze scores the second goal. Gabriel goes crazy with Odegaard right next to him.
Yeah.
And Odegaard is like, all right, goal.
Okay.
That's not good for me.
All right. Hey. Good goal there, Eze. All right.
And you can't. But I honestly think we should forget about Spurs today. Because I honestly believe this performance, it wouldn't have mattered that much who they were up against. And that's the position they're in now. It doesn't matter who they play, home or away. It's about what we do. That's what the best teams do. Let the opposition worry about us, because every single thing we do is going to be better than what anybody else has got to offer. And that's the biggest thing for me from this. I mean, to think that you would suggest that the league's over after, 12 games? But it's not a fact. it feels as though it's right. You know, I don't feel strange saying the league's over. The Premier League, we talk about the Bundesliga and Bayern and think, well, what can it, this is... But you know what? When a team's that good, who cares if it's over after 12?
See how we really talk about us now. See, you know, this man started a bad mouth not too long ago. But hear them now celebrating the Gunners, giving them their flowers. I can't help but.
If you can't enjoy watching a team that plays the way Arsenal does, then you're watching the wrong sport.
If I can just go back to Eze for a second, and on the hat trick, they all came in the same central position that Jules is talking about. Now, that you may think, well, he's just very good at finding the open spaces, and then once in the open spaces, he was very good about finishing his chances. But it does take some mental discipline to not just roam around and understand, if this team is going to give me this space, then I'm going to hang out right here. I don't have to go over there. I don't have to go over here. No. This is where I got my space. They're apparently not aware that I'm about to score here again and again and again, and he had another chance to score a fourth goal from the same position. Now, we're sort of on the fringes of talking about Spurs, but I'm with you, Stevie. It is about Arsenal. It is about Eze. It is about the individual players of Arsenal, but then the team structure of Arsenal and how good they are. The reason that you can have players come in and out, this guy's injured, that guy's injured, this guy's injured, and they're still able to produce results like this and performances like this, is because there is depth within the squad, which is always important, but there's also knowledge and understanding what your role is within the structure of a group. It is clear to see that Arsenal are right here, and then it's everybody else. If you didn't think that coming into this weekend, maybe Don thought that this was 50-50. Somehow he argued that it was a 50-50 between them and Manchester City, even though Arsenal were up 4 points coming into this weekend. I don't understand his math, but nobody else does either. You watch what this weekend was all about in the Premier League, and you can physically see the separation between Arsenal and everybody else.
You also need to talk about people like Trossard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every championship winning side, regardless of what country it is, has people like Trossard. A guy who doesn't get the headlines. If somebody's going to be left out, is it going to be him? I mean, he's constantly been mentioned in those terms. But this season in particular, he's the guy that's turning up and producing. You know, he's got a goal today. We're a bit lucky, but he's got a goal. He's got an assist as well. But he's a guy that we never talk about. So not only have we got superstars that are performing, even the so-called fringe players, the so-called players that are under question, they're producing as well. I mean, it's a recipe for success.
Wow, what he said really resonates with me. But we don't really celebrate for that, but it's fine.